So today's topic, yeah, okay, exactly. So Tranquil Lotus, what's your name? She says it can be stressful. It can be stressful. Definitely, it can be stressful. I hear that time and time again. So I totally get where you're coming from with that one. So we're talking about content, but specifically content, specifically creating content that your students actually want and need. Okay, and content is something that I talk about a lot, talk about it over and over again, beyond course creation, beyond building your email list. The one thing that I talk about over and over and over again is that you must be creating content consistently on a weekly basis. It's really a must. And the reason that I'm such a stickler for this is because in order for you to have a thriving online yoga business, you must create content that's going to help you to attract your students. Okay, and this is how people are going to initially find you. And when I talk about creating content consistently, it might be a weekly blog post, it might be a podcast, it might be a video that you create every week. Whatever it is, your content really you need to get your content out there, you need to be sharing it in all of the different places, but you need to be doing that consistently. Okay, so let's have a look. So Sarah says, finding it hard to close up on the number of topics. Perhaps my niche is too broad. I'm glad you've talked about niche there. Oh, okay. Can be overwhelming. Claudia in the group says, yeah, it's overwhelming, feels overwhelming, need help. Yeah, okay. So if you're not showing up consistently, like if you're not showing up week after week for your community that you're trying to build, then those people aren't going to be loyal to you, okay? They're not going to be tuning in like you guys are now. So week after week when I do these weekly trainings, there's definitely some of you that are showing up every week with me, okay? I see your name week after week. And if you're not showing up consistently, then it's going to be really hard for you to have members in your community who are also going to be tuning in with you consistently, okay? Because the reason for that is because you're not going to be top of their mind. And for me personally, you know, when I began creating consistent weekly content, my email list started to grow. Okay, so the more I created content and the more I shared content, my email list started to grow. And then guess what else started to grow? My bank account started to grow. And you may have heard me talk about this before, you may have heard me say this before, but there is a direct correlation between the quality of the content that you're sharing, the growth of your email list, and the growth of your bank account. There's a direct correlation, okay? So you might be doing, let's say you're doing a weekly blog post and you're creating your article, and from that you're using that content that you've created in your article to go and do a Facebook Live, and then you're downloading that video from Facebook and you're uploading it into YouTube, and maybe you're embedding it on your website. Okay, that's really important because we can't just be building our businesses on social media. Okay, we need to take that content and also make sure that it's on our website and on our blog as well. So creating consistent content on a weekly basis, it's not always easy. You know, some of you have said it's hard, it's overwhelming, it's frustrating, don't know where to start. It's not always easy and it can take time, but it's important, okay? It's important. And, you know, I know in my business that it's really important. And I want you guys to also have that level of commitment to this as well, okay? I'm committed to content. When it comes to content, when it comes to creating content, I'm committed to it. And I want you guys to have that level of commitment as well, okay? Because it will pay dividends, okay, in the success of your business. So I know that, yeah, I know that for certain that it will pay dividends, okay? So the question really is, how do you ensure that what you're creating is something that your community actually wants to consume? Okay, something that people actually want to read or watch or listen to. Because I think we've all experienced this, haven't we? I think we've always had that experience, that nerve-wracking moment, okay, when you share something. Let's say you write an Instagram post, you write out a caption, you post it with an image, or maybe you share a blog post. Let's say you share a blog post in a Facebook group, or you share the link on Instagram, and then you cross your fingers hoping that people are now going to land over on your website, but nothing happens. Yeah, you wait and you wait, and not one single comment on your blog post. And then maybe you go and do a little bit of a deeper look around. Maybe you dig a bit deeper and you look into your Google Analytics and you realize that no one's actually landed on the web page. No one's actually been on it. And so all of that hard work can feel like a waste of time because you didn't actually get the results that you wanted from your blog post. Can anyone resonate with that? For those of you who have been creating blog posts and you've shared your blog post online, can anyone resonate with that? Because there's two things with that. There's two things with that, and I'll come on to it in a moment. But we need to realise that most people will give up at that point. Okay, most people will give up, or maybe they'll write a couple more blog posts, share them in a Facebook group, and no results. So then they'll give up. Yeah, not you guys. You guys don't give up. You know, and the reason that you're watching this now, you know that your content is important for the growth of your business. And it's likely that you've been tuning in with me for a while. So you'll know that when it comes to content creation, it's non-negotiable. Like, you need to be finding a part of your week that it's a non-negotiable part of your week where you sit down and you create your content, because not only does content help you to drive traffic to your website, and when I say traffic, I mean people. It helps you to get people to come to your website, but also it helps you to build your brand. It helps you to establish yourself as an authority in your niche. It helps you to build trust. Yeah, it helps you to convert people onto your email list and convert people into paying students. So there's lots of reasons why we need to have content in our business, why we need to be creating content. But going back to that issue of, no comments on our blog post and no page views, and the two things that I mentioned, number one is that we must be consistent in how we share our content, okay? Because it's not a case of, share it once and that's it, job done. We need to look at how we repurpose our content and how we continue to share it. Continue to share it so that we can drive our community over to our website to read more. That's really, really important. And what I see time and time again, with teachers in this community, and they say, Kelly, I'm writing my blog posts, but nobody's reading them. It's like, okay, then let's dig a bit deeper. Where did you share it? Oh, well, I shared it this one time on Instagram. Okay, did you share it anywhere else? No. Okay, so that's the issue. So that's the first thing. We need to be consistent, and we need to look at how we can repurpose the content so we can keep driving people back to our website to read that blog post. And number two, and that's the topic of today, number two, is that we create content that our students actually want and need. Okay, so this is the content that they actually want to consume. We need to make sure that we're creating content that we actually want, that people actually want from us, because otherwise we're just adding to this overload of information that's on the internet. Because there's a lot of information on the internet that people don't actually read or watch or listen to. Okay, and that's just a waste of everybody's time. So we must get a bit strategic about what we're creating and why we're creating it and have a plan. Yeah, so this is time to get planning, guys. We need to have a plan, and the answer is the answer is to create content that our audience actually care about. Okay, and that's what we're talking about today. So guys, I've set the scene for you now, but have you got a pen and paper? That's the important thing. Do you have a pen and paper? Do you have a pen and paper? So yeah, sharing the content on different platforms, exactly. Because once we've got one piece of content, we can look at that piece of content. And this is why I always recommend to you guys to to start with a blog post. Because if you write 750 words minimum, right? You write 750 words in a blog article that is on a topic that you know your students really are interested in. You've got a lot of content in there that you can pull out, those little golden nuggets, to create individual posts for Instagram and Facebook. You've got things that you can now get onto Instagram stories and talk about. You know, you can do this like I am now and do a video talking about that topic. You know, let me just give you a little bit of insight right now. This video, I'm going live now on Instagram, and I'm live now on Facebook in the group. Yeah. So this video on Facebook in the group is going to get downloaded. It's going to go through a transcription software, and that's going to pull out a script of everything that I'm talking right now, everything that I'm saying right now. So that's going to go through a little software. It's going to pull out a script. It's going to pull off the audio. Okay, so we've now got a script for the blog. We've now got an audio for the podcast. The video is going to be edited. It's going to go up onto YouTube. It's also going to go up onto the Facebook business page. Just from me talking to you guys now, this content is going to be repurposed, shared in lots of different places. So when a yoga teacher goes onto YouTube and searches how to create content for my yoga students, guess what video is going to come up? And that could be the first time that they come across me. Okay, so what you'll learn about me, I'm all about making life easy. This is making life easy. You know, create one piece of content every single week, repurpose it. Okay, so you can do it the other way around. You can start with your blog post, and it definitely in the early days, I started with my blog post. I started writing my blog post. I'd use that as the outline for doing a live, and so on. Go through that process that I've just spoke through to you guys. Okay. So that content doesn't have to, so Gloria's just asked, do you put all of that content out on different platforms in the same week? No, it doesn't have to be in the same week, because if you do this week after week after week, you've got a content bank that you're building up. And if you've got your scheduler and your plan, you could be like, oh, okay, you know, I can put a few golden nuggets in here, then I can put some in next week. And, you know, soon enough, you're filling up your weeks with content. And you can just look back into the content bank, pull more bits out. You don't have to do it in the same week, okay? Okay, I'm going off topic a little bit. Even though it's about content, I don't really want to talk anymore about content repurposing right now. What I want to talk about is how you can create content that people actually want to consume. Okay, because that's super important. That's how we get people coming onto our blog post and commenting. That's how we get those hits on our website. Okay, so we want to create content that people actually care about. So by this, we need to come up with the topics that our audience actually like, okay? And there's going to be some research involved here, and you've got to really take the time and sit down to do the work here, okay? So I'm going to give you guys some exercises, and that's why you need a pen and paper. And giving you some exercises so that you can go through to find topics that your community are really going to be interested in, okay? So before we move on to that, before I go through the 3 exercises that I'm going to give you today, it goes without saying that whatever you create, that you know who you're creating it for. Okay, so you really need to have clarity on what. Can anyone tell me what you need to have clarity on? Can anyone tell me what you need clarity on? What do you need clarity on? I talk about this every single week. These two words come up every single week. Yes, Elemental Pilates. She says, yes, guys, yes, yes, yes. And Naomi, well done. Yes, 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 Kate. Well done, well done. Ideal students. Well done. You guys have been listening. We've got niche, niche, niche. Yeah, perfect. Exactly. So you need to have clarity on your ideal student. When it comes to creating content, what is your niche? Who is the specific person that you're serving? And what is the specific problem or issue that you're offering can provide a solution for? Okay, so who's the specific person that you're serving, and what's their specific issue or challenge or problem, that whatever you offer can help them with, that can provide a solution. So we need to get specific. Okay, when you're specific in this way, you'll have more success, because your message is going to cut through all of that online noise. You'll be able to reach the people it's supposed to reach. Okay, and if you need help on this, you need to head over to the Digital Yoga Academy Facebook page to catch up on a recent training that I did about why you need to have a yoga niche. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, I did a training 2 weeks ago on why you need to have a yoga niche. And at the end of this month, at the end of October, I'm going to be running a 3-day workshop on nailing your niche. Okay, so if this whole concept around your ideal student and your niche is a little bit over your head right now, and you need some support on it, just look out for that soon. The information is going to be released by the end of this week. Okay, so that's super important. We need to have clarity on who we're creating this content for. Right, the 3 exercises. So I want you to take some notes, and then excuse me, guys. In this next week, I want you to find a 2-hour block of time, okay, where you can do these exercises, where you can do these 3 exercises. So I want you to give yourself 2 hours to do this, and schedule that into your diary, guys. Schedule these 2 hours into your diary, because we both know if you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen, and you really owe it to yourself to block this time out. Okay, so it's 2 hours, and that's actually going to give you multiple hours of free time where you're not scrambling around trying to come up with ideas for what you're going to post on Instagram. Okay, no more of that. If you're one of these people who gets to like a Thursday morning and you're like, oh gosh, what am I going to post on Instagram today? And then you end up scrolling in the feed, and before you know it, 2 hours is gone. Those 2 hours you could be using to actually plan out your content, so you'd never have to do that again. Okay, so are you guys on board with this? Give me an emoji if you're on board with this 2-hour planning session that you're going to do. And I'm going to take you through 3 exercises that you're going to do in this 2-hour planning session. Yes. Come on, more emojis, guys. Everyone who's watching now, I want to see your emojis. I want to see that you're in on this. Okay? It's going to save you time in the long run. Okay? So I'm going to give you three exercises. And 3 exercises. Exercise number 1. Exercise number 1 is, I want you to do a good old classic brain dump or a brainstorm, What other words are there for that? Good old brainstorm, good old brain dump. An idea dump. What else? I'm sure there's some snazzy words for this. What other words are there for this? But basically, you're just going to sit down. You're going to sit down and you can get a pen and paper, or you can use, you can do it on your laptop. But sit down, and when you do this, I want you to really picture your ideal student, okay? Really connect to your ideal student. Think about the topics that really excite them and interest them. Think about what they need from you, okay? Think about what they need from you. What do they really need from you that you can provide to them? Yeah? Think about where they are in their yoga journey as it relates to what you offer and as it relates to your content. Think about where they are in their life and their challenges. What's challenging them right now? Because the content that you create should really solve or address your students' pain points, okay? You will achieve great results with your content when you think and act like your student, okay? So start there. Really step into their shoes, okay? And your student's pain point, when I talk about a pain point, that could be a need, it could be a problem, a desire, a challenge. You need to think about how you can help them to move along in the direction that they want to go in, okay? What content is going to help them to do that? So this brain dump or brainstorm or whatever you want to call it is really a free-flowing, rapid writing exercise, okay? So you're putting words or phrases or questions down that they might be asking. And that's another great thing, think about the questions that they ask you. What questions do they ask you at the end of class? What questions do they ask you in the DMs? What questions do they ask you on your posts and the content that you share at the moment? Because those questions you can turn into content, okay? So with this exercise, I just want you to let it flow. There's no editing. Don't worry if it's like a good idea or a bad idea. There's really no judgment with this. That's the beauty of just brain dumping. You're getting what's up here down onto paper, okay? So we're not looking for any kind of perfection here. And this exercise is a really good exercise to start with because it just helps you to get those creative juices flowing. And if you have any kind of writer's block, it's just going to kind of knock that out of the way, okay? So even if you come up with just one topic, one really good topic, then that's going to be time worth spent, okay? So definitely start with this. Definitely start with this and give yourself at least half an hour to do this. Give yourself at least half an hour to do this, okay? Really, really think about them. Think about my ideal student. What questions are they asking? Yeah? Okay. And just let it flow. It's like a journal exercise, really. You're just letting it all out. Okay, so that's number one. That's an easy one, guys. Yeah, we can all do that. We can all do that. So number two is, okay, number two is to survey your students and your community. You're going to create and share a survey, okay? So ultimately, there's only really one question you need to ask. Okay, so we're not talking about creating a really mammoth survey here. There's really only one thing that you need to ask, and that is, what is the number one challenge you're facing in your life right now? What is the number one challenge you're facing in your life right now? Okay, because once you know what the challenge is that they're facing, you can create content that helps them, okay? You can create content that helps them to learn how to overcome that challenge. So that's really all we need to ask people, okay? Because what we're not doing here is we're not asking people, what content do you want me to create for you? I don't want you to ask that question. Do not ask your students, what content do you want me to create for you? Because people don't know. People don't know what content they want, but people know what challenge they're facing. Does that make sense? People generally don't know what they want, but they know what the problems are that they have. Okay? So you just need to know what the problems are that they have. And that could be problems in their life. Quite likely it is problems that they're facing in their life. Could also be problems in their yoga practice. Okay? Could also be problems in their yoga practice. So have a think about this. You know, if you're a yoga teacher that's really focused on like functional movement, let's say, then it might be problems in the yoga practice, or you know, it might be things that they're stuck with a certain part of the practice that they need help moving beyond. But likely it's issues and pain points in their life. Yeah, that's really where you want to be getting. That's really where you want to be getting. So ask that question. I mean, you may use this as an opportunity to ask a few more questions, but I want you to keep it short and sweet, okay? Keep it short and sweet. What you might do is, from your brain dump, you may have come up with some topics, okay? You may have come up with some topics, and perhaps you might want to list those topics and have that as a question where you're asking people to, you know, select the top 3 topics that they're interested in. So that is another way you can use this survey as well. That's definitely a question you could add into the survey. So yeah, so do the survey. Do the survey. But when you ask that question, what are you struggling with? What's your challenge in your life? You ask that question as an open-ended question. So let them, you know, type in their words as the answer, okay? You want them to be giving you the answer in their own words. So don't like list out some options for them when it comes to that question, but let them actually use their own words, okay? Okay. So you can create that survey in Typeform or Google Forms, or you could do it through SurveyMonkey. You could also use social media. So Instagram stories, you can ask the question, use the question sticker in Instagram stories, use the poll features. You know, do this on a consistent basis, guys. Ask this question every single week. What are you struggling with right now? You know, be consistent with it, because A, people might not see your story one week, and B, they might not have the time to answer it one week. So be consistent with this, and I promise you, the more you ask this question, the more you're going to get ideas for content, okay? Okay, so just do it in a few different ways. I mean, you could even just send an email to your email list and say, hey, reply back and tell me what you're struggling with right now. You know, you don't even have to put it into a survey form. So there's lots of ways that you can do this. Lots of ways you can do this. Get creative. Get creative. Okay, so that's number 2. Number three is that I want you to hit Google up. Okay, so this is a fun one. Open up google.com, and all you're going to do is you're going to perform a very simple search in Google that's likely going to give you lots of topic inspiration, okay? Because by this point, you've done your brain dump, okay? You've spent about 20, 30 minutes on that. Let's say 30 minutes doing that. You've spent another, let's say 45 minutes, yeah, doing your, creating your survey in whatever format and sending it out and sharing it to your email list, sharing it on social media, sharing it anywhere you can. Okay, that's plenty of time to do that. And then the rest of the time, I want you to spend doing some research online. Okay, so Google is a great place to start. And what you're going to do here is you're already by this point going to have some ideas from the brain dump that you did. So what I want you to do is I want you to open up Google and type something that your ideal student would naturally search for, okay, if they were looking for the result you know that they want. Okay, so just type it in as they would type it in. Okay, so maybe it's something like, excuse me, maybe it's something like how to relieve back pain or what postures, what yoga postures are safe for the third trimester. Yeah, so how to just think about what they would actually type into Google. So type that into Google and just see what search results come up. And you know, Google, because Google is super clever, remember, Google has indexed these results in order of the most searched and the most clicked on. So you're going to know what the popular topics are that come up. And it's going to give you ideas because it's going to give you variations of the topic. And, you know, it's going to bring up words and phrases. And the great thing about this is that you can use those words and phrases as the title of your blog articles. Okay, so you want to be thinking about that. Like, what would if I'm going to write a blog post on something, what would be the thing that somebody would type into Google in order for my blog post to show up in those search results? So the other great thing about this is that if you scroll down to the very bottom of the first page of search results, there's a little section that says, and it's something like, people also ask. So have a look for that little area where it says people also ask. So it's kind of saying people who searched this also searched this, yeah? So have a look at that area because again, that's going to come up with some more topic ideas for you. And you can just turn those searches into your topics, yeah, and into the titles of your blog posts. And you could go down a little rabbit hole. So you click on one of those things, that's going to open up some more search results. You can scroll down to the bottom, have a look, see what comes up there, and just spend some time looking at these keywords. Essentially, I'm talking about keywords. Okay, so I'm talking about all of the topic ideas that you've come up that you think that your students are interested in, and putting those ideas into Google to see what comes up. And we're not doing this to copy blog articles that already exist. We're doing this to see what's popular, and to give us ideas for other content that we can create for our students as well. Okay, so have a look at that because I really feel that when you do that, if you've not done that before, it's going to come up with some good ideas for you. And you know, there are other tools that you can use online, like keyword analysis tools, if you really want to get a bit geeky with this. But even just searching on Google is going to give you some good ideas, okay? Okay. You probably noticed I'm struggling a little bit today. I'm a bit wheezy. So I've given you 3 exercises to do. You're going to give yourself a 2-hour window of time, which is plenty of time to get this done, guys, okay? So just knuckle down, schedule it in, get it done, okay? We've got 3 exercises. 3 exercises, okay? The first one is the good old classic brain dump, or whatever you want to call it. The second one is the survey. Keep it short and sweet and simple, but get that survey out. If you don't have a community right now, then I encourage you to look for some Facebook groups where your niche is hanging out and ask the question in those groups. You don't have to share a link to a survey. You could just ask the question, what are you struggling with right now? What's going on in your life right now that you're struggling with? So there's definitely, you know, we should always be looking for solutions. Yeah, be a solution person. Be a solution person, okay? So You know, if you're thinking, oh God, I haven't got a community, I've got no students. Okay, how can we do this? Okay, how can we make this happen so that we can start getting some feedback? Because there's always a solution. Okay, so that's number 2 is the survey. And then number 3 is that we're going to hit up Google and we're going to do some research. Yeah. And I promise you, if you do those 3 things, you are going to be able to come up with some ideas. I promise you. Okay, and I would absolutely love for you to let me know, tell me, come and share how you've been getting on with this, how you get on with this. See if you can do it this week, and then come into the Facebook group and share your results, share what you've done, share how effective it's been for you, and share how it's inspired you to create a content plan. Because ultimately, if you could come up with 12 topics, that you look at these 12 topics, and let's say that you've actually written out a title for each of these 12 topics. If you can come up with 12 topics, you've now got a 90-day content plan that you can start working on. Okay, 1 topic a week. Write your blog post, repurpose it exactly how I've told you today. Okay? Okay, guys. I hope that's been helpful for you all. I hope that's been really helpful for you today. Share with me now what's been your main takeaway. Share what the biggest thing that you've learned from today's training in the comments. And as I said before, I'm going to be doing a 3-day intensive. Okay, it's a 3-day live intensive training at the end of October, and it's all about your niche. It's all about finding your niche, learning more about your ideal student. So there will be information being shared about that by the end of this week. Yeah? Okay, perfect. What have we got? We've got motivation. Good. I'm glad I've given you some motivation. We've got Google search. Haven't done that one yet. Perfect. Keep it simple. Yeah. Keep it simple, superstar. Wonderful. Okay, well done, guys. Well done for sticking with me today. If you're on my email list, I sent an email out yesterday encouraging you to spend the last part of 2020 committing to learning. Okay, so for those of you who watched this with me today, you're doing that. Well done. High five to you for doing that. Okay, so keep learning, because there's so many ways that you can learn with us here at Digital Yoga Academy. There's obviously this weekly training that I do. There's the Yoga Teachers Talk Business trainings that take place inside the Facebook group. We also have our amazing students who come onto Instagram Live and do a training every week. I also do the live Q&A hot seat session on a Friday. We started that last week, and that's going to continue every Friday. What else do we have? We have the podcast, the Yogipreneur podcast. There's tons of free resources on our website. There's no excuse, you know, for not learning. Like, there's so much you can learn, but commit to learning something new every week for the rest of this year. And I promise you, 2020, you're going to look back and be like, high five to me, I did it, okay? We're going to get through this year together and be courageous and keep showing up. All right, love you all lots and lots. See you guys on Friday. See you guys Friday, 2 p.m. UK. Come and join me on Instagram Live. I invite you into the hot seat with me. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Thanks so much. See you all soon. Bye. Bye. Bye.